Let me just write down 4 thoughts that, like, I can, it's too hard, I'll start tomorrow, this doesn't feel right, whatever it is. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is your personality, and your personality is intimately connected to your personal reality, your life. So then if you want to change your life, your personal reality, you got to change your personality. And here we go again. You got to start becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts. Just write those down and say, these thoughts, like Gandalf on the bridge, you may not pass today. This is the end. So then if you become conscious of those thoughts, now you're the governor of your thoughts. Less than 2% of the Americans actually write their intentions or goals down. The ones that do actually write them down, they have an 80% chance of reaching those goals if they write them down. So when you write something down, you're telling your brain that you mean it. It's a direction that you're moving, and it has to be ongoing. And it's a to-be statement. A to-be statement is something that you're evolving into. Once you get clear on your intention, sponsoring thoughts, list the reasons why you want to be healthy. Because those sponsoring thoughts are really going to be the driving force to get you going in that direction. If it's healthy, you may have vitality. You may want to look better. If it's wealth, you want freedom. That's what you really want. Freedom to do whatever you want, right? So when you begin to define your intention and you couple it with a sponsoring thought, now you're giving your body a taste emotionally of what that future is going to be like. Now, the next step is to plan your actions. Master your day, one day at a time. So now you've already dismantled an old part of yourself, and you say, today, the thought I'm going to have is that I am a genius and I accomplish everything. Or I live in no time, the universe provides for me. The universe lives in my favor. Different compartments of the brain begin to unify. They begin to synchronize. And what syncs in the brain links in the brain. So when your brain is coherent, you're coherent. When your brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. So we've measured this thousands of times. We'll see very large areas of the brain, huge areas, begin to synchronize together. Then we'll see the left side of the brain talk to the right side of the brain. We'll see the front part of the brain talk to the back part. We'll see this kind of whole brain state start to take place. And I see it every time. They feel so complete that it's impossible to want. How can you want when you're whole? And that's the moment the magic happens. We see a strip chart, we're measuring someone's brain, and all of a sudden we just see this brrrr, and then there'll be a pause. And then 10 minutes later, brrrr, and we know that's downloads. The person is having epiphanies, they're having downloads. We're getting raw information that's beyond our senses. The nervous system really is the superconductor of consciousness.
Let's write down the feelings of how you would feel if that future happened, and you're going to have to feel that feeling before it occurs. So now, okay, what does an abundant person feel? Pretty much free, in love with life, grateful to be alive, abundant. Okay, now let's practice. The moment you feel gratitude, your healing begins. The moment you feel worthy and abundant, you're generating wealth. The moment you're empowered, you are moving towards your success. The moment you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, you'll create an equal. The moment you are in awe of life, you're going to have a mystical experience. And so that's causing an effect, right? So then if you can teach people then how to create, instead of from lack or separation, but create from wholeness, and create from what we call the quantum field instead of three-dimensional reality. Okay, the quantum field is an invisible field of energy that exists beyond our senses. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't hear it, you can't feel it. It exists beyond our experience of three-dimensional reality. And how much of your waking day are you aware of energy and frequency? For most people, they're unaware of the quantum field. And if you're unaware of it, it doesn't exist for you. You could study all kinds of science and they'll tell you there is this invisible field of frequency and energy that exists beyond the senses that tend to connect everything physical and material. In fact, everything physical and material is connected to this field. How do you get there? So we discovered that when you take all of your attention off your body, you are not paying attention to your emotions, your drives, your habits. If you could take all of your attention off of every element in your environment, your cell phone, your tablet, your computer, your car, your bed. Take your attention away from everything, every place that you live, where you sleep, or you work. There tends to be a dramatic change in the way the brain functions when people do this properly. We call it getting beyond yourself, but in a sense, you're dissociating from your three-dimensional reality. Why? Because if you're thinking about anything in your three-dimensional reality, that's where your attention is and that's where your energy is.
And when I can stay in that place of uncertainty and unknown, and I can transmute that energy into clarity or gratitude, that I can get my energy up, even though there's chaos around me, then I'm filling that void between the old self and the new self with information. And when you change your energy, you change your life. In other words, you're so busy being elevated, no, you can't predict what's going to happen. You're just very clear you're not going to go back to those familiar cravings and familiar urges. We'll begin to help you get clear on the direction that you're moving and allow that energy to push you. Now, that energy is like the flame in the alchemist's crucible. It's going to turn base metals into gold. It's going to remove the dross. And so purification comes with quite a bit of agitation. There's got to be a stirring that takes place. And I think that most of us in the last year or two have felt this incredible stirring inside of ourselves. And that's because the energy is so intense that our nervous systems have to really adapt to it. So I think our purpose in life is really to remove these layers, these masks, these habits and emotions that block the flow of the divine within us. Every morning when you start your day, before you open your eyes and reach for your cell phone and check your WhatsApp and your texts and your Facebook, before you plug yourself back into your same familiar world, sit there and get very clear on what that future will be like and begin to emotionally embrace it before it happens. And if you do that properly, you're moving into a new state of being. First thing I would have people do is to really decide what they want in their life. I mean, that's the first step. Decide what your future could look like. Get clear on what that vision is and write down the specifics of what you want in your life, whether it's with your family or your career or with a relationship, whatever it is. Get clear on what that vision is of yourself in the future. And then write down the emotions of how you'll feel when it happens. Will you be joyful? Will you be enthusiastic? Will you be filled with energy? Will you love your life and be in a constant state of gratitude? And now you have a clear intention and elevated emotion. So then most people think in the past, and feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences. So if you're feeling the same way every single day, it means nothing new is happening in your life. And if those feelings are driving your thoughts, then you're thinking in the past. So most people's biology, for the most part, living in the past. By the time we're 35 years old, is a set of memorized behaviors and emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, pretty much on autopilot. That's 95% of most people. So their 5% is working against 95% of what they've memorized subconsciously. So the first step then is becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, becoming aware of your automatic behaviors, and then noticing and paying attention to the emotions that you feel every day. When you begin to free yourself from the chains of those addictive emotions, you begin to open your heart, the field around your body. The heart begins to produce a magnetic field that sometimes can go to 9 meters wide. And if you can teach a person how to feel an elevated emotion and sustain it, and they begin to like drop pebbles in water over and over again, and they start to produce these beautiful waves. If they feel deeply and richly and profoundly, they're dropping big stones that are producing bigger waves. Now those waves are energy, and energy is frequency, and all frequency carries information like radio waves and cell phone waves. What those waves carry is your thought, your intent. So now the carrier of your own vibrational patterns begin to carry information that is going to begin to influence matter. People are afraid of because they'd rather live in guilt. At least they can predict who they're going to be than take a chance in possibility. You have to really begin to mentally rehearse. Ask yourself at the end of your day, I do this every day, how'd I do? First thing you have to do is you have to decide, are you going to be defined by a vision of the future, or are you going to live by the memories of the past? Now, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So we could say that most people's entire state of being when they start their day is in the familiar past. Well, if you live in the familiar past, then it makes sense you're going to create a predictable future. Your body is your unconscious mind. Some people would rather cling to the familiar than take a chance and possibility. For most people, then they say, well, I don't really see how my thoughts have anything to do with my destiny. Well, that's because 95% of those thoughts are subconscious programs, right? So you're not even conscious that you think those thoughts. So the first step to change is starting to think about what you've been thinking about and change it. And then when you begin to observe those thoughts, now the game is on, right? Yes. Because now you're working to become conscious of that and not go unconscious again. And it takes an incredible amount of awareness. Yes. It takes a great amount of consciousness, and you can't have consciousness without energy. So you got to raise your energy in order to get to it. Otherwise, you're going to be consumed. Yes. You're going to return back, right? So if you start becoming familiar, so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, they would never slip by your mind unchecked by you. Because if you combine a clear intention, a coherent thought, coherent brainwave pattern, with a coherent heart, moving into that elevated emotion, thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. The magnetism of this center becomes the energy. The intention is carried on that energy. And now you are broadcasting a new signature into the quantum field. When you lock into that frequency, if you keep revisiting that energetic signature over again every single day, then you don't have to go anywhere and get it. The new job finds you. The new house actually finds you. The new relationship finds you because you are the vortex that's drawing the experience to you.